Hey guys, today we're doing highlighting and contouring for those with fair skin. Hi everyone! So this has been one of my most requested videos. I have a lot of people talking about highlighting and contouring, especially now that basically every brand has released a highlighting and contouring palette. Now I have gone through Sephora and Ulta and online and tried basically every single type of highlighting contouring palette they have out there. And let me just tell you, they're not made for fair skin. I've tried all of them, and all of them require a lot of blending to get anywhere close to having something that looks natural on my skin. So I've actually found products that work perfectly for us fair skin people that you can use on a daily basis and it doesn't look super dramatic, but I've also given you options if you want to get a little bit more dramatic for a photo shoot or a special event where there'll be a lot of photography. So keep watching if you want to see the entire look. Thanks guys! Okay, as you can see, my face has already been primed. I actually used the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer, and I used the green because it's the color correcting adjust. I tend to have red splotches all over my face sometimes, and so this green really balances those out and cancels them. So I use this first to prime, and then I use the Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue Foundation all over. So I don't have any concealer on. I did put on my NARS eyeshadow that I love, and I actually had that listed in my March favorites. And then I have on a little bit of eyeliner and a little bit of mascara, and that's it. So other than that, my face is completely bare. I haven't done any sort of concealing or any sort of contouring yet, so let's get started. Okay, so when it comes to highlighting and contouring for pale skin, a lot of it is starting out with concealer, and that concealer ends up being your highlighting. So I'm starting with the NARS Creamy Concealer in Chantilly. I love this stuff. It is a favorite of mine, and I use it for everything. It works great under eyes and with spots, and just in general if I have any discoloration that I want to hide. So I love this applicator because it's a wand, and it makes it really, really simple for me to apply. And I had quite a few of you ask exactly where I put my concealer. I don't put it directly underneath my eye and just leave it there, because then that actually creates, you can see it doesn't blend well, and you can actually see sort of the raccoon eyes where there is just a line even if you try to blend that. So what I do is I start on the interior of my eye, and then I draw down almost to the bottom of my nose. You want to create sort of this starburst pattern, and you just start from the corner and pull out, and I actually pull up and out a little bit. When you have concealer that goes out and up just a slight bit, it actually lifts the eye. So what you're going to do is take all of this and you're going to blend it. So let me do this on the other side. Straight down, and then you can go out and up. Now if you're looking, my under eye, the circle actually starts, well, it stops, the dark circles stop right there. And even though I get a fair amount of sleep, which is weird having a newborn, I still have always had dark circles under my eyes. So this is the best way I've found to get rid of them. And then I also take this and I do around my nose, because I have some red hyperpigmentation under there. I do one swipe down the middle of my nose. I do a little bit over here just because I have some redness. I have some spots over here, and some redness over here. So I just, in general, do that. Now, if you want, and this is something that I do, I take a little bit and I go in below where I'm going to do the contouring and just do a little bit of a little mark so that it gives me something to blend. So that really starts with a clean palette for the contour. So I take a moistened and squeezed out mini beauty blender. I love these things because they're so tiny, they can really blend well. And I just start blending. And the best thing, some people are like, well, beauty blenders just take all the makeup off. In my experience, it really does blend, and it pulls off the excess so that you don't have any weird lines or any creases. So I love the mini beauty blender for this. It's my favorite. I swear by it. Although since it's my favorite, it's actually Wicked's favorite too. She loves these things. So every once in a while when I see her run out the back door and I can't see if there's anything in her mouth, it usually ends up being a beauty blender or a mini blender, which, you know, drives me nuts, but that's what happens when you have a puppy. Now, when you look, it actually, see how it's pulling the eye up just by that makeup right there? It's really important to keep that line and just blend out to your hairline. And you blend down. This actually gets rid of the need to do any color contouring or highlighting underneath your eyes because you're doing it with your concealer, which is great. And honestly, as a fair-skinned person, you don't really need to do a lot of highlighting. It's more about the contouring. But that being said, I still do a little bit of contouring, obviously, with my nose, around my nose, and then to cover up any spots. So I just go with the Beauty Blender all over, make sure everything's blended in. Now on the sides, I actually take it and I blend it and then I drag it down a little bit. Okay, now as you can see, I actually have, it looks like I've highlighted out, which wasn't necessarily intentional, it was just concealing, but with your concealer, you can highlight as well when your skin is this fair. It sort of blends and it's a little bit lighter and it gives the highlight that you want, but it's not intense. Now we're going to set this with a powder. What I typically use is, is the Hourglass. I use the Hourglass Ethereal Light in the shade, it's the Ambient lighting powder. I use this to actually set in the areas that I just highlighted. So I take a brush, just a little fluffy brush. This is it's actually an e.l.f. Pro brush. These things are only like $3. I highly suggest you get these things. They're great. They are synthetic, and so you can wash them really easily, and I love them. So I take this, tap it off, and I actually do all the areas that I just highlighted. Not my whole face, just the areas that I just applied that. Because you don't want to highlight with a concealer and then cover it up with a regular foundation powder because that will darken it back to the color of your skin. So this actually has a little bit of shimmer in it, but not a lot, so that you can use it everywhere that you just highlighted. If you used a super shimmery powder like the Balm's Luminizer or Mary Luminizer, that actually is too bright and that will look like that you just had a glitter bomb explode on your face. This lets you add a little bit of glow everywhere that you highlighted. However, it definitely does not shimmer, and then that way if you want to add shimmer, you can add it where you want opposed to all over. So just making sure that this goes on all the places that I put that. Blend it out a little bit. Now, ta-da! My face is been highlighted as far as the powder. Now I'm going to take a regular powder, and this is a Stila, just regular. You can see I've hit pan on it. I've had this thing forever. And this I'm going to set, because remember I put on the foundation but I hadn't done anything else. I'm going to set the rest of my foundation with this powder. It's a little bit darker, so I'm only using it on areas that were not highlighted before. It's just to get rid of any oiliness and to set the rest of my foundation. So that's done. So the next step is contouring. And this is where us pale skin ladies have the issue. All of the contouring palettes that I've found, and I've tried a lot, in fact I just tried the Dr. Jart's, And the highlight shade is light enough. The contour shade takes some serious blending in order to make it the right color for me to use as a contour shade. The Anastasia Beverly Hills, too dark. The Smashbox, too dark. The Kat Von D, too dark. I mean, everything. I've literally been to Sephora and Ulta and tried every single one of them. It's been a long and arduous journey to find what I've found. So I have a few options for you because not everyone's going to be the exact same skin color as me. I have two that I swear by. This is my summer color, and this is actually a MAC eyeshadow, oddly enough, and it's in the shade Wedge. It's a matte, which is super important. You always want your contouring shades to be matte. You can add bronzing, luminizing, highlighting, whatever later on. You want to start with a matte. This is just a basic matte, and if you look, that's just a shadow, but it's fairly close to the actual shadow on my cheek. But since that's more of a summer shade, because I tend to be more on the, you want to be more tan, bronzed in the summer. In the wintertime, this actually was a Pinterest find. I love Pinterest. This is the NYX blush in the shade Taupe. It's fantastic. I love it, and it works really well. And in the wintertime, when your skin is obviously not bronzed, it creates a perfectly etched out cheekbone, highlight, contour, accent on your face. And I've actually used it for photo shoots all winter long. If you want something, the closest thing I could find to in Ulta, because I actually had to order that NYX online because my Ulta didn't carry that, is the Benefit Dallas blush. This is a great all over blush if you want to sort of contour, but you don't want to actually sculpt anything out. You just want to add a little bit of color underneath. This, I would actually take a small brush, a contour brush, and just sweep it instead of trying to etch it out. Just sort of sweep on the sides of the cheeks, starting at the hollows up and out, because this is a beautiful shade. It actually is a perfect shade of blush for a lot of people, so you could wear it just as a blush. But it's beautiful. It's pretty similar. Let me take out the little blush that comes with it, the brush blush. So if this is the NYX, if I can get it open, two hands, problems. There we go. This is the NYX and this is the Benefit. They're pretty similar. The NYX is just a little bit more on the purpley. This is a little more on the reddy brown, but it's an excellent shade. I love this stuff and it will work great for you. So Benefit Dallas blush if you want a contour shade, if the one that I'm showing you from MAC is a little not your color. However, along those lines, any eyeshadow will work. If you want, go into MAC or go into, I actually really like MAC because the makeup artists really know what they're talking about. And they have a lot of shades. Go in and tell them you need a contour shade for your specific skin tone and they will help you find one. I love this though, it's fantastic. So on to the contouring. Started flashing at me. Blogger fail. Have you guys ever had that happen? I knew I was going to shoot it today. One would think that I would have planned ahead and charged my battery, but nope, I did not. So the lighting's a little bit different right now. It's because the sun has moved in the hour it's taken me to charge that. And I've been running around the house with this pale face with no blush and no lip stuff and no contouring. And I mean, nobody cares, but it's a fun problem because I did not plan well. Not good. Okay, on to the contouring. So I am using the MAC eyeshadow in Wedge, and I am actually using this. Contour brushes are awesome. You can use a bigger brush if you want to, but I specifically like ones that are made to contour. This is actually the Real Techniques contour brush, and it's fantastic. So what I do is I swirl a little bit, and then as always, tap off the excess. This is super important because you can always add any sort of contour powder, but you can never take it away, and it's really hard to blend out if you start with too much. So I start with a little bit, and then what you want to do is draw a line basically mentally from the side of your mouth to the top of your ear. A really good way to find that line, just to see where you naturally have the hollows of your mouth, is to do that. Well, the hollows of your cheeks, not the hollows of your mouth. So you pull that and then you go right into where that shadow is. So I'll go and start with mine. And I start in the middle and blend my way up and back. And then when I blend forward, it starts, because you really want that shadow to start in the middle of your cheek. You don't want that line all the way down to your mouth, because that will look weird, and that's super heavy contouring, and you don't want that. Get a little bit more. Tap, tap. So, if you look at the difference, pale, white, nothing, a little bit of contour. The thing with being so fair is you don't want a ton. If you contour too much, it looks like you're contoured and it looks like you're wearing stage makeup in public, and that's not the point. You want to be able to actually wear this out in public so people don't think you look crazy. So be light-handed on this. You can always add more later. So the cheeks have now been contoured. Now on the forehead, you always want to do a little bit on your temples, right above your eyebrows, because that actually brings in your face and makes it a little bit more narrow. If you are fair, you're going to have what looks like a wider face just because of the color of your skin. So I always do a little contouring above my eyebrows by the temple. Because it just brings it in a little bit. It's nothing severe. I mean, nothing you're going to do is going to be incredibly severe. You just want to make sure you just add a little bit of color. And then I always do a tiny bit just on the top by the hairline, because it frames the face a little. You can also use a bronzer up there, and you can use a bronzer on the temples as well. But I like to, when I'm not going for a bronze look, I like to have all of my contouring shading being the same color. Now, normally I would stop here. There are a few other things you can do if you want, and I will show you. So take a little bit. You can always do your nose. So what you want to do, remember we put that highlight, the concealer, down the middle of the nose. You just want to go down the side and not over that area. You can always use a smaller brush for this if you want. This is actually a great tip if you don't particularly like your nose. Blake Lively, if you look at, has her nose actually goes down to a little bit more of a bulb at the bottom, but her nose always looks really, really slim, and she's never gotten a nose job, and she's even talked about how she wanted a nose job but then decided against it, and then has learned how to contour being on Gossip Girl. And if you look at all of her pictures, her nose is contoured, and this is how she does it. Just on either side. Now, you can also do, if you feel like your chin is too big, you can do a little bit down here on the bottom, and that will actually bring it down to more of a point for you. And if you don't like your jawline, you can always go like this and sculpt out your jawline just a little bit. For pictures, it looks great because the shadow stops you from having what looks like, you know, where it's all the same sort of color. It really defines it out. So this is something that's great if you're going to be taking a lot of pictures and you always sort of feel like that your neck and your chin sort of come together. But make sure you do it not above, but below, where your natural shadow should be. I wouldn't do this on a day-to-day basis just because it's a lot. But we're talking about contouring, so I'm showing you all the ways to do it. So that is the contour for right now, and I'll take pictures of it so you guys can see what it looks like. But I'm in natural light right now, so you know that it's not anything ridiculous. And if you look at it close, if I can zoom you guys in, It's not anything that's super obnoxiously loud or obvious. It's just a little bit darker than what my natural skin tone would be, which is what you want with a contour shade. So let me go finish off my blush and my under eye, and then I'll show you the finished look. So I'm back, and this is the final look. I put a little bit of blush on, I put on mascara and a little bit of eyeshadow underneath my eye, and then I put on some lip gloss. So it's important to know that when you do all the contouring and you're going to apply blush, what you need to do is apply blush not on your cheeks, sort of off to the side. So you want to start sort of mid-cheek where you did all of that contouring and then go up. Because if you do right here, it kind of gets rid of that illuminating highlighting that you did underneath your eyes. So make sure the blush starts not on your cheek, but sort of off to the side of your apples, and then blend upwards. But as you can see, the final look, I have a little bit more contouring, but it's not anything that I look scary, and it's not something that you'd look and say, oh, they did a ton of contouring. It's a very natural look. So this is the final look, guys. I hope you like it. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and give it a like, thumbs up. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Bye. The balm. Speaking of the balm, this is why that's on my mind. I got the Mary Luminizer highlighter, shimmer eyeshadow. It's really, really intense. And when I say intense, I am not even kidding, guys. Not even kidding. Look at this.